Welcome back to Only Talk Sports. So we talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm Ernest Jeffrey. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our video. This coming up Saturday in college basketball does not have as many marquee matchups as last Saturday did, but there's still a lot of quality matchups to look forward to this weekend. And one of those matchups is in the Big Ten on CBS at 2 o'clock in the afternoon with the top 10 ranked Illinois Fighting Illini going on the road to face a struggling Michigan State Spartans team. I'm going to preview and predict whether I believe that the Illinois Fighting Illini can go on the road and beat Michigan State and stay in the Big Ten title race, or whether I believe that Michigan State can get a much-needed win for their NCAA tournament resume to stay on the right side of the bubble. So let's get into it. The Illinois Fighting Illini, they're looking for a season sweep of the Michigan State Spartans, and if they can get a win over Michigan State again like they did earlier in the season, that would really help out their chances of being able to possibly win the Big Ten, because they are only a game and a half back of the Purdue Boilermakers right now. But the ESPN FPI predictor is on the side of the Michigan State Spartans, giving them a 57% chance to win. The Breslin Center is one of the top three venues in the Big Ten, along with Assembly Hall and Mackey Arena. It is very tough to win at Michigan State, but the Spartans have been a bit vulnerable this year because they already have 9 losses. They're clearly out of the Big Ten title race, and they are just trying to fight to stay on the right side of the tournament bubble. And despite having a subpar record at 14-9, they still are in the NCAA tournament field because of great computer metrics. Because if you look at the net rankings, they are at number 24 in the net. They do not have a loss outside of Quad 1 and Quad 2, and they are only 10 spots behind the Illinois Fighting Illini in the net rankings, which probably contributes to why they are favored in the ESPN FPI predictor. But recent history is not on the side of the Spartans, because Illinois has won the last 4 matchups with Michigan State, including a win at Michigan State back in 2022. So that does not help out the Michigan State Spartans case at all, that Illinois has had their number for a large stretch of the 2010s. Michigan State and Illinois were very competitive in the series, but Michigan State would get the better of the Fighting Illini more often than not, but not recently. And when you look at Illinois, they knocked off Michigan State earlier this season at home 71-68, and you could say, well, that was a close win. They barely beat Michigan State at home. Maybe Michigan State will be able to win at their own place over Illinois. But the problem here is that Terrence Shannon did not play for Illinois in the first matchup with Michigan State because he was out with the suspension. Now he's back. He's starting to get back into a groove. He's not playing as well as he was before he was suspended, but you can tell he's starting to get his legs back underneath him. He's starting to knock down more jumpers, and his defense, it's still up and down, but it is improving week by week. And if Michigan State cannot beat Illinois without Terrence Shannon, then it's going to be a lot harder for them to beat Illinois with Terrence Shannon. The only advantage now is that they are on their own floor. And after that game with Michigan State, Illinois did lose to Maryland, but then they went on a roll after that, winning 5 of 6, only losing at Northwestern, and they did barely just squeak by the Nebraska Cornhuskers, but Nebraska is a very solid basketball team, so that still was a solid win. And Terrence Shannon, he is the head of the snake for the Fighting Illini, averaging 20 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists, and he's shooting 35% from 3 and 77% at the free throw line. There's still some rust, but he still looks better for the Fighting Illini than he did a couple games ago. And Illinois is not a one-trick pony. They've got other players that chip in a lot of points. Marcus Damask, Coleman Hawkins, and Quincy Guerrier all average over 10 points per game, and Marcus Damask is averaging 16 points per game. And then they got guys coming off the bench, and Luke Goody, Justin Harmon, and Dane Danger that all average 6 or more points per game, and that equates to Illinois as a team averaging 83 points per game. They only shoot 34% from 3. That's not a great percentage, but they shoot 72% from the free throw line, which is solid. They average 11 turnovers per game, and they average 13 assists. They do not force that many blocks and steals, but because their offense is so dynamic, that has allowed Illinois to win as many games as they have. And then on the Michigan State side, after the loss to Illinois, they were able to win 3 games in a row before losing at Wisconsin. Then they beat Michigan and Maryland, and then they lost at Minnesota. And yes, Michigan State has been playing better basketball recently, but still the loss at Minnesota stings because Michigan State is now 14-9 on the season and 6-6 in the Big Ten. And part of that is because Tom Izzo always schedules hard in the non-conference, but that also is allowing Michigan State to at least be on the right side of the bubble right now. If they had a weak non-conference schedule, there's no way Michigan State would be on the right side of the tournament bubble right now. But on the other hand, if Michigan State had an easier non-conference, their record would be better right now, and still maybe they would be safer in the tournament field. So it is a double-edged sword sword, pick your poison type of thing. Tom Izzo likes to go with the tough schedules because it does usually help his team improve as the season goes along. But this season's kind of been an exception. I wouldn't say Michigan State is failing right now. They still can make the tournament and keep that streak alive that Tom Izzo has of his Spartans team making the NCAA tournament like 25 years in a row. But things are a bit dicey right now because they are a non-seed according to the bracket matrix of all the bracketologist projections right now. And that's not including the loss to Minnesota. So probably Michigan State is down there at a 10 or 11 seed. So they really need this win. But like I said before, in recent history, they have really struggled with Illinois, losing 4 straight games in the series. And when you look at Michigan State's roster, just like with Terrence Shannon for Illinois, Tyson Walker is the head of the snake for the Spartans. Ever since he transferred in from Northeastern, he has gotten better and better. And this year, he's putting up career numbers, averaging 19 points per game and 3 assists. He shoots 72% from the free throw line and 38% from the three-point line, which is a very good percentage, especially for a guard of his short stature. And a lot of his shots are very difficult. Malik Hall's averaging 11 points per game. A.J. Hogarth's averaging 11 points per game and 5 assists. Ironic that he's averaging more assists than Tyson Walker. That kind of helps Tyson Walker be more of a shot maker, with A.J. Hogarth being more of a shot creator, passing the ball to his teammates, including Tyson Walker. Jay Nakins is averaging 11 points per game. He has improved this season, but some Michigan State fans are still looking for more of a breakout from him because he is a very talented player, but it still hasn't all come together for him. But the issue for Michigan State is after those 4 guys, the rest of the team doesn't chip in too much. Trey Holloman averages 6 points per game, but if you remember when I was going over Illinois' roster, they had tons of guys averaging over 6 points per game. Michigan State does not, with the rest of their bench averaging around 4 points per game apiece, and they only average 74 points per game as a team, which is 8 points less than Illinois. They shoot 36% from 3 as a team and 68% at the free throw line, which is not a good percentage for a Tom Izzo team. Usually they shoot much better from the free throw line than 68%, and that has attributed to some of their close losses this season, including that loss they just suffered at Minnesota. They average 17 assists per game, which is better than Illinois, and they average 7 blocks and 4 steals, which does help their defensive numbers, and that has allowed them to win a few of their close games this season. And they do average only 10 turnovers per game, which is less than the Illinois Fighting Illini. But who do I believe is going to win this Big Ten battle on Saturday in college basketball? The Illinois Fighting Illini, they've won the last 4 matchups with the Michigan State Spartans, and they're looking to try to get their 5th in a row, including another season sweep of the Spartans. I would have never thought under Tom Izzo that Michigan State would currently have a 4-game losing streak against any team in the Big Ten. But here we are. Illinois has had their number, and Michigan State, I usually back the Spartans the further the season goes along, because usually Tom Izzo teams improve as the season goes along. By the end of the regular season, they're playing some of their best basketball, even if early on in the season they struggle, and that kind of has been the case. Michigan State is getting better from the team that they were a few weeks ago, but they're still not all the way there. Losing at Minnesota, despite the fact Minnesota is a better team than they have been in the past few years, Michigan State still should have won that game, but they fell short because they could not make enough shots down the stretch, and that could be what downfalls Michigan State in this game. Illinois has a team full of guys that can put up shots, and now that Terrence Shannon is back and he's starting to play better on the offensive end to pair along with Coleman Hawkins and Marcus Damask and Quincy Guerrier, Illinois is a very explosive offensive attack, and Michigan State still lost to Illinois a few weeks ago when Illinois did not have Terrence Shannon. I believe that Illinois, because Terrence Shannon is back, I think that they're going to be able to go on the road and knock off Michigan State 73-69 to really hurt Michigan State's NCAA tournament chances by knocking them down to 14-10 and at under 500 in the Big Ten Conference. This was a very tough pick for me to make because I usually do not bet against Tom Izzo and the Michigan State Spartans when they are at home, and I believe this is going to be a very close game. The FBI predictor favors Michigan State, and I do not blame the computer metrics for still being high on the Spartans because they have had a tough schedule and they've navigated it decently well, even though they could have done a better job in a few of the games that they've lost this season. Michigan State's not a bad team at all whatsoever, and I do believe that Tom Izzo will get this squad to play hard in this game, and they will continue to improve down the stretch of the season, whether they end up making the NCAA tournament or not. But Illinois, they're trying to fight for the Big Ten regular season title along with Purdue, and they're just playing too good of basketball right now. Even though they do struggle on defense at times like they did in the Nebraska game, I think Michigan State is struggling a little bit too much on offense right now. They don't have enough guys scoring on their team like Illinois does, and I do believe Illinois will find find a way at the end of the game to knock down their free throws and pull out a win over the Michigan State Spartans, 73-69. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about whether you are a believer in Tom Izzo like I normally am, and you believe that the Michigan State Spartans will get one of their biggest wins of the season by knocking off the Illinois Fighting Illini to stay on the right side of the NCAA tournament bubble, or whether you think that Illinois will be able to defy the computer metrics and go on the road and win their 5th straight game against the Michigan State Spartans and be able to stay in the Big Ten title race. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Like this video down below. Follow me on Twitter as well. Link is in the description, and I'll see you next time.